All right. Hello there, my friends. Glad to see you all here. A couple of people in the chat already. I know this is a really weird time, totally different. Well, I don't even really have a schedule or any kind of expectations with you guys anymore. I've probably violated every last one of those. And you never know when I'm going to show up now, do you? So I'm showing up now. And on the line, you're going to see his beautiful face in just a minute. But I got my man, Tony from the Confessionals Podcast. And we're just going to be chilling, talking about what our current endeavors are all about right now. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update and stuff. And a while back on, I believe it was on Twitter, I mentioned something weird that happened to me, a sleep paralysis event. And I'm going to discuss that with you guys and Tony. And we'll see what you all think about it. I just realized I was checking my Twitter and I realized I forgot to do any kind of video or statement or anything about this thing involving a little onyx colored baby that came into my room in the middle of the night and bit me. It was interesting. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But please give a warm dreamer welcome to my friend Tony. You guys might remember a while back I did a episode of his podcast, the Confessionals Podcast, available pretty much everywhere. And here he is, not in the studio, but in his own studio. And we're going to chill. Here we go. You guys should be able to see Tony right now. And now you can also hear him.
What's up,
Tony?
How you doing?
All right. Everybody's doing good. Periodically, we'll probably I'm going to do my little chat greetings real quick. But people will be asking questions and starting conversations and things like that. But we're going to take it easy, take it one step at a time. So real quick, Sans Serif, Bad Vibes, Games Are Life, Swedish Mom, Miss M, Madam Raven, Valerie, Lynn, let's see here who we got. Carla, Springtrap, hello there, my friend. Glad to see you. Louisville Slugger, Brenda, John Paul, Scully, 13 Supreme. A couple of new faces here. Joshua. And, yep, that's about it for now. Make sure you guys leave a like on the video, by the way. I know I always forget to say that. So some of you already know Tony, looks like, judging from the chat. Somebody's saying turn up the sound. What sound? Yeah, I forgot to ask you guys about my levels. Where am I at right now? It's a little too low. If I'm too low, let me know. Tony, let's see. Let's get some sound checks going so we can get on the same page here.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, I could go a little bit harder on it, but I won't.
Yeah, we don't need to stun on him right now. You know, it's all good. All right. So it's saying, can you see the chat, Tony?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. Okay, let's see. Too low. So, okay, so Tony's a little bit too low. I can turn you up on my end, Tony.
Is that better? I can move it
All
closer
right.
to the face.
All right, let's see. Okay, so now people are saying that I'm too low. All right.
Don't
Can't
you have
please everybody, I guess.
That closet working on this stuff?
Huh?
Don't you have a sound engineer somewhere in the back closet working on this stuff for you?
Oh yeah, he's right back there, just behind the acoustic foam from Amazon. Man, okay. All right, you guys got to be able to hear me now. Let me know what's up. Yeah, it's my voice tends to evade most forms of sound detection.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, I produced your vocals for over an hour, so I know how it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, I was thinking about doing this show with you today, and I was thinking, like, about the show that you did with me and how we were talking about so many different topics and how we brought up the whole idea of the Matrix. And
Mm.
I was like, you brought up how your nickname in high school was like Morpheus or something like that, or maybe in college. And I was
Yeah, yeah.
like he freaking is Morpheus. Like the voice, the bald head, the way he thinks, what he does, like he's Morpheus. Like you're literally the embodiment of Morpheus in real life. And
That was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. People started saying that just because of little things like me wearing sunglasses or being shaved head, but it's like I subconsciously molded myself into that over time, and I love it.
dude, like I think on my website, on the homepage, I have like images scrolling, and I think that your episode that you did with me is one of the images that scrolls. And when
Yeah, I
that's
saw it.
like honestly, my artist, like he drew you, but he was drawing Morpheus. Like I was like, he's everything Morpheus is. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's one of the few actors. If I ever met Lawrence Fishburne, who portrayed Morpheus, and maybe him and Keanu Reeves are literally the only people that I would probably cry if I met them. And I don't feel like that about anybody, but it's just what those characters mean to me in my heart. It's just ridiculous. Oh snap, Sid, how are you doing, Sid? I haven't heard from you in quite a while.
What's up,
Danny,
Sid?
Brian, what is up? Yeah, Sid. There's a few of these people in the chat here that have been with me since like literally day one, and it's awesome to see them. Springtrap and Valerie, a bunch of people. Miss M, Sid. Let's see, Brian's World. A lot of people. Cindy, hey Cindy, what's up? So yeah,
I'll tell you, man.
I saw the website, by the way. It looks great. And
Oh, thanks, man.
for those of you listening or in the chat, there's a link in the description of this video down to the confessionalspodcast.com, and go check my boy Tony's stuff out. He's, man, some fantastic episodes of his paranormal podcast, and it's inspiring, really. So check it. Make sure you guys check it out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I mean, I started this about 2.5 years ago, and I actually, so every once in a while I stumble across something I did back in the day, and whether I'm just looking for a certain episode or whatever, and I did that this past week. I just recently launched memberships on my website, and I was looking for this one specific episode that I recorded years ago. That it was right after the Vegas shootings happened. I did a whole episode less than a week later after the shootings, and I actually interviewed 2 people that were there. And then I did, but it all came together so fast. It was like a Friday. It was a Friday night. All of a sudden, like I had access, and I did these interviews. I think the one was like at midnight, and then the other one was at like 1:30 in the morning. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do this interview with this guy who, helped me get this all together. So we did an interview at like 3:30 in the morning. He's in Hawaii, so it was only 9:30 at night for him. And I was doing all these interviews, and I was looking for that interview specifically because I never broadcast it, and I thought it'd be really cool for the members to hear. And when I was listening to the audio, I was like, man, I've gotten a lot better. It's just like over time and stuff, you start finding your style and how you want to produce things, and the progression. It's just really interesting to see when you go back and look back at it all, because I mean, a lot happens in 2.5 years. I mean, I put out a show every week, like forever. I mean, from the time I started this January 19th, 2017, I've been putting out a show every week. And
Still
so
have no idea how you do that.
Well,
it's crazy.
It was, let's put it this way. When I started the show, I didn't have a kid. And so it's just me and my wife, and I could really go hard. And that's what I did. I went really hard on it in my first year, not knowing if there was ever going to be a payoff of people that actually listen to it. But I thought, if I don't try my hardest, you're never going to know. You're never going to get the full potential. And so I just spent countless nights up really late at night working on the show, trying to figure out how to build a podcast, different techniques, who to talk to. There's so much stuff that goes in to content creating, I mean, it's just like, it's a never ending job. It's literally a full-time job if you take it serious. I mean, some people just do a hobby, and that's fine. But if you're like, I really want to do something great here, and I think I can, well, that's going to take a lot of work. And so in the beginning, it was okay because I didn't have a kid and stuff. But then about 3 months after I started my show, my wife says, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, oh.
Mm.
Everybody said to me, they're like, how your life's about to change. Everything's about to change. I'm like, how hard is it? I mean, I was like, nothing's going to change. I'm just going to have a kid and everything's going to be the same. I was so dumb. I was so
Well, it's not your fault. You can't really comprehend of all that stuff, the way your life changes and every single moment of every day. It's never going to be the same. It's not something you can envision until it happens. You know.
Yeah.
I'm quite well aware. Brad is in the chat. What's up, Brad? Old school dreamer right there. How's it going, man? Yeah. What? Hey, man. I was looking at you. I'm looking at you on the screen, and right over your shoulder is an image on the wall. What is that? Like a baby clown or something?
Oh,
and it's really creeping me out a little bit. Yeah.
The white one. So
Yeah.
there is an artist down in Florida, and oh no, I'm forgetting his name. Brian. Oh no, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but anyways, when I first started doing the stuff that I do, it all started with my fascination with Bigfoot, and I started a Facebook group called Pennsylvania Sasquatch Research, and it was just me thinking if I could get like 20 people in this group that are interested in a topic like I am for Pennsylvania, maybe I could, chat with them or whatever. Well, the group kind of grew a lot, and one of the guys that joined the group is from Florida, actually, and he's an artist, and he does interesting artwork. It's like he doesn't do anything fancy, but like he takes paints and just kind of like, I don't know, does artist stuff with it. And I bought 2 of his paintings off of him because I really liked it, because Pennsylvania is really known for the white Bigfoot video, Carbondale Bigfoot. And I'm fascinated by the thing. I'm fascinated by the video and all the sightings that people have been seeing. And, so he sent me 2 different pictures, and there's the one I just put that you see here. And let me, if you want, I can try to pull the other one off the wall and show you, which is my favorite.
Okay, let's see it. Pulsar, what is up, my friend? Arlene is here as well. Hello there, guys. Glad to see you all here.
That's not going to work.
Oh, no?
I use double-sided tape, so it's up there.
Oh, yeah, okay. You'll have to send me a picture of it later or something.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And so I don't really know where to put the one that's kind of sitting on the back of the couch there, so I just kind of lean against the wall. But yeah, I got some Bigfoot decorations, and actually I have a
it's plaster casts.
Yeah, this is actually Paul Freeman. He's one of the most famous Bigfoot researchers. He died in 2003, but he really made a name for himself for some of the things he found. And this is a first generation cast of the one of his most famous casts, which has the dermal ridges. You can see the dermal ridges in the toes, which leads to the authenticity. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I'm not a huge collector, but I find little things here and there that I enjoy.
That's really cool, man. That's such a different, I mean, down here in Florida, I'm sure there's some type of scene for that type of thing, but up north, especially with the mountains and stuff, I'm sure it's a lot more of a rich community of cryptid seekers and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in Florida, bro. Like a lot. Yeah. They're always out there looking for the skunk ape.
Yeah, okay. I've heard that. That's the Bigfoot, skunk ape type stuff. For some reason, I just don't come across a lot of it down here. I mean, or even internationally, the people that send me emails and stuff, that's like one of the rarest things for me to get. And people are always asking for it. So, if you guys do want to hear about Bigfoot stuff, Tony's got a ton of it. But for some reason, I just don't come across it.
Yeah.
We can help each other out that way, I guess.
Yeah, I just I take what comes to me. I mean,
the show put that Bigfoot energy out into the universe, and it comes back to you.
Well, you know what? That's true, and I've been putting out different types of energies into the universe recently. I've been really getting into UFOs recently, and actually, right before we went live here, I got done booking a hotel. I'm going to be raiding Area 51. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh
you
my
know,
goodness.
yeah, I've been really interested in the topic, and it's just been a growing interest recently. And not just because of what's been going on in the news, even before the knuckleheads say that they're going to storm Area 51, but because like the idea of these things in the sky and where they could be coming from, whether it's terrestrial or extraterrestrial, it's just fascinating because it leads to so many different other topics and ways of thinking and what is possible and what is out there and what does the government know that they're not telling us. And by me, kind of like you said, putting things out in the universe, I've been getting some people emailing me, just not a lot, but some people where it's like they want to share a story that when I read the email, I'm like, I tell my wife, because my wife runs my emails, and she relays it to me, and I told her, I said, get that person in as soon as possible. Usually I schedule people and they have to wait in line pretty much, but sometimes I make an exception and I'm like, I'll interview them on a Monday night, Wednesday night. I don't care. I need to get them in now. And I did that for episode 122, was a guy, Charlie, came on, and that was my biggest show ever. I was fascinated by the story, and
That was the Enochian
yeah,
technology guy. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to him later after that. You hooked me up with him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I I don't put out people's information a whole lot, and he's one of them where it's a sensitive situation. So I don't. If people have asked me to connect them with him, and I if they ask me, I ask him. But I know his answer to be no. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to him because he's in a situation where he can't really put himself out there like that. But and so I did.
Which is even more. I'm even more grateful that you're able to put me in touch with him.
Trust you.
Because I did an episode with him for my yet to be released podcast, which is definitely not going to be once a week. But yeah, we did a really cool episode together with him and I. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I trust you, man, and so I don't mind working with people that I trust. But yeah, he's a great guy, and I think because of that episode, somebody else contacted me, and I just did that interview on Sunday, and it's going to release next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. And it's an older woman. She's in her 70s. And it's funny because she scheduled this interview with us, and I call her up at the scheduled time. And I said, hey, this is, I don't even think I introduced myself. She answered the phone and she's like, hello. And I was like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. And she's like, good. What's your name again? And she didn't even know my name. And I was like, you don't listen to my show, do you? But she found my show somewhere and she liked hearing what I had to say about things, and she felt compelled to contact me. And I think it was the secret military Enochian technology episode that I did with Charlie that kind of prompted her, because she has a very similar story, similar in vein, where she lives I think in Utah right now, but part of the year she lives in New Mexico with her husband. She can't live in New Mexico year round because of her health. And but the property in New Mexico is on top of a secret military, or I'm confusing my titles. It's on top of a deep underground military base, a DUM. And she talks about the things that happened to them on the property, the creatures they saw, things vanishing in mid-flight, like helicopter, not UFOs, like helicopters just vanishing. Her husband got deathly ill, and turns out he had these rare parasites inside of him that they believe at one point somebody tried killing him. It's a very long story. She talked for probably, I'd say, about an hour to an hour and a half without me having to say one word. I told her, I said, I want you to share your story in completion and we'll talk afterwards. And that's what she did. But the interview itself, I think, went about 2.5 hours. And I got to produce it this coming week and stuff. Or actually, no, today's Thursday. So this weekend, and get it ready for Tuesday next week. But it's going to be a really good episode.
I'll be sure to listen to that one.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Those things are really good for, especially when I drive a lot. Well, not as much as you, but I drive a little bit for work, and it's a really, really interesting and sort of I don't know, like it's therapeutic or what. I don't know. I feel listening to your shows the way people tell me they feel listening to my show, where it's like you put it on and it's, you just listen to it and be intrigued. That's what I try to do for people.
Yeah.
Real quick, I got to address some things in this chat.
Okay.
Real quick. Sydney says, interestingly, she hasn't been online for a while. About an hour ago, she had a strong feeling that I was going to be online, so she just jumped on and waited to see if I would be, and then here we are. That's interesting, Sid. Good. I'm glad to hear that we still have that weird psionic connection that you mentioned years ago. Let's see what else we got here. Let me see. Carla. Yeah, I said hi to Carla, didn't I? Dark Waters is in the house, or
D-Dub,
was
what's
a
up,
few
man?
minutes ago. Area 51 movement is a psyop. Don't go. Am I wrong for kind of hoping that some people do go? I would like to see what happens.
We can get into it if you want.
Let's go there, man. Let's do it. Let's go. I feel like it would be fascinating to see what the reaction would be. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I think people are gonna get shot. I think people are gonna get shot, man.
I don't think so, man. Because I can't imagine. As 13 Supreme says, clap some alien cheeks. That's one of my favorite memes that have come out of this whole thing. So man. I'm thinking there's no way that the U.S. military is just going to open fire on a crowd of people.
Yes, they will, man.
No,
listen,
this is the age of the smartphone. Everything's going to the cloud. It's not going to happen.
Dude, yeah. Of course. All right, so here's the thing. Like, anything that happens on September 20th is going to be publicized. Anything that happens. Mm-hmm. I think that they are preparing for it now for, a bunch of people to show up, whether it's going to be, I think the whatever you call it, the event on Facebook that started it all. I think it's up to 2 million right now or something like that. So like not 2 million people are going to show up. I mean, if you get 1% though of 2 million showing up, it's still a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And, I think what they're going to do is they're going to take precautions because Area 51 is a really, really, really big place. I mean, it's not like just, your local, little military base or whatever. This is a huge facility out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not like where you could just hop off the highway exit ramp and you're there.
No, and there's not like a highway leading to it. I mean, it's these small roads, and all it takes is one person's car to break down. But I think you're going to see the military go out to the borders and maybe even beyond the borders and to try to stop and prevent something like that happening. But here's the thing, man. What happens if a big group of Antifa let's just say we have 50 Antifa people. No, let's say, all right, well, let's just use the city. No, because that's a bad example. Portland, they're not actually doing anything about their Antifa people. I'm in Philadelphia, so let's just say there's about 100 people, 200 people in Philadelphia that's riding Antifa. I'm just using that because it's a hot name right now, people doing stuff. And they, for whatever reason, decide, you know what? We're going to storm the police department. What's going to happen? They're going to get shot.
I mean, it's not a good look, no matter what's going on, unless people are actually storming with, weapons that like deadly weapons and that can actually do damage. Nobody's going to want to en masse start mowing people down, no matter who the people are.
Okay, so I mean,
it's not going to be a good look for anybody,
Yeah, I'm already, I'm in my head when I'm saying that, I'm thinking people are yielding bats and things like that. I guess so. If people are just, no weapons, they're just going in there and they're taking papers and throwing them in the air and stuff. It's more like, all right, get your fun out of your system now because we're gonna be making arrests because all you guys are on camera.
Yeah, people are going to be getting arrested. There's going to be some huge pepper spray cannons going off all over the place. There's going to be gas flying everywhere, riot shields. But one thing that's not going to happen is, you know, freaking just people getting mowed down. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
Mighty Might, let's see, Mighty Might, Joe Keenan, Randy, Aisha, Gina popped in here. Sasquatch Chronicles is even here. Okay, Sasquatch Chronicles says they are going to mow them down and have every legal right to. I highly doubt that. I mean, just trust me, that's just not going to happen. Lady Rider, what's up? Hello there, my friends. LOA Blue. I like to greet everybody that pops in when I can before we get too far. I don't like people feeling lonely when they get in the chat here. Warning signs. Okay, Sasquatch Chronicles saying warning sign says deadly force authorized. I don't think they put that sign for fun. No, they didn't. But for real, it's a heavy stuff on your own to gun down your own citizens. And I'm starting to think maybe we shouldn't be talking about this so much.
All right.
Yeah. And I don't want to look silly after the fact if that's what happens. Who knows? Anything could happen with the government these days.
Yeah. I think that my closing statements. I think Area 51 is a classified facility for a reason, and not everything is classified anymore. They declassified a lot, but there's still classified things there. And I think there are classified things going on there currently. And you know, would the question you'd have to, I guess, ask is, would storming Area 51 do damage for national security? You know, and at what point, at what level? I mean, are we talking about, you know, a few secrets getting out? Are we talking about now any country knows what we're doing technology wise and they can invade us tomorrow kind of thing? Like what kind of level? So I think it's I think it's a bad idea. Let's just put it that way, though. I don't think doing it is a good idea. But I heard that the guy who organized the whole thing initially, it was supposed to be a joke, I guess. But he says now that he's gonna show up that day just to see what happens. So I think it's somebody who, you know, you're the creator of something, you just want to see it happen. What's happening, you know?
Your baby. Good night, Aisha. Have a good night, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. And yeah, let me just unequivocally state, I don't recommend anyone go, and I don't want anyone to go. But if people do go, I'm gonna watch it on TV. That's all I'm saying. You know, I don't want anybody getting hurt or anything like that. Of course, you all know me.
One of your guys in the chat room says, "Ask Tony about the static." If you're hearing static from me, I apologize. Maybe
no. I don't think they're talking about that. I think they're talking about something else.
Oh, okay.
Is there some type of like paranormal phenomenon called the static that you might have heard about at some point?
Not
Someone
yet.
mentioned that. Someone mentioned that earlier. It sounds kind of interesting, but I can't say I've heard of it.
Yeah, I do a lot of my learning from my guests, and so as guests come with unique stories, I start piecing things together, and you know, after you do this for a while, and you've been doing paranormal stuff for a while too, like you start connecting dots on some things, and you're like, I've heard this before, but it wasn't, you know, this. It was something totally different, and you start thinking, what's going on here? Are we living in a matrix? What? You know, it gets trippy.
Oh yeah, I've connected a couple of dots in my time. Yeah, somebody said, see, the first time someone said that, he said, I just looked through the chat. It said, Tony, have you seen the static?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but now people seem to be thinking that it was some kind of static. Maybe they're talking about the weird glitch in your, you know, as soon as we start talking about Area 51, your face got a little bit glitched out.
Yeah. I'm watching the video on delay myself, and I saw
that reptilian look to it. You're not a reptilian, are you?
Not that I know of. I can check my birth certificate later, but
you're a sleeper.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly what a reptilian would say.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I am. Maybe like they're just waiting to, you know, say that certain word to wake me up, and all of a sudden I'm a super reptilian.
Oh yeah. Just remember I was nice to you,
Yeah.
if that ever happens.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll try to do my best, but no promises for humans.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully by then I won't be, I'll have transcended beyond humanity by then. I don't know. Man. Hey, so speaking of beyond humanity, the other day, well, it was probably like almost a month ago by now. I've been on YouTube so infrequently lately that I like, I just don't even remember when I say things. If I'll give people a hint about something that happened to me, or just a little short summary, and be like, yeah, I'll talk about it. But you know, 3-4 weeks go by and I forget about it. But have you? I can't remember. Have you ever said that you've experienced sleep paralysis before?
No, not to my best recollection. I haven't. I mean, I've talked to lots of people that have, said that they've experienced sleep paralysis, but not that I can think of. No, I've had which I just recently learned a term for. Now I'm going to forget it. Oh shoot, I forget. But it's like when you wake up and you just feel like you're a zombie, and like you're mentally alert, but your body is like not awake yet, and you're just like, I'm sitting there, like I can move my body, but it's like the nerves from my brain to my limbs aren't connecting on all 100%, and so it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it feels like my body. I think it's called sleep drunkenness or something like that. I've experienced that a lot when I was a kid, and it was just
That's
like,
terrible, man.
dude, I
I
felt
hate
like
that.
I grew up in the 90s, and you know I I was like, am I mentally challenged? I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was like, do I need to tell somebody this? I don't want to go away though. Like I didn't know what was going
Hmm.
on, but yeah, I haven't experienced that in a long time. But anyways, back to your experience.
You know what? I think that scenario, what you're talking about, is like all it's like partial sleep paralysis, because from what I know about it is that when you're sleeping, your brain secretes a certain neurotransmitter or a chemical that paralyzes your body so that you're not acting out the dream actions that you're doing. Like, how when you see a dog sleeping and it starts like it's running, like if it's running in the dream, its body is running in real life, but it's just laying there on the ground. We don't do that because we have this chemical. And when you're getting up, when it's time for you to wake up, that chemical is supposed to be flushed out of your system in time for you to get up and start going throughout your day. So if you wake up a little too early, there's still a little bit of that paralysis chemical in your system, and you feel like a zombie and you're all sluggish and all that stuff. But if you wake up, or if something pulls you out of that unconscious state like way too early when all of that is still in your body, then you have sleep paralysis. So
Mm,
it doesn't, you can't move, and it doesn't, whenever I have that, I tend to sort of have hallucinations as well as not being able to move, which is even worse. So sometime earlier this month or last month, I don't remember when it was, I had this scenario where I woke up and my arm was sort of like hanging off the edge of the bed, which normally that's not a problem, but uh, that day it was, because I start hearing this like sound of like feet, little pitter pattering of feet, like a little kid, and around the foot of my bed. And this is like the fifth time I've seen some type of baby like creature come up to me during sleep paralysis. It happens to me like all the time. And it's never the same baby. It's always a different looking baby type creature. This time it was looked like a normal baby, but bigger or like taller. A baby that shouldn't be able to walk yet, but it was walking, and it was like taller than that age of baby should be. But it was like black, like onyx, almost like it had like a crystalline texture to its skin. Like imagine if you took sparkly black sand and put it into a glass jar that was shaped like a baby. But that moves. And
Dude.
it's like standing, it's standing, staring at me. And I'm like just staring back at it. And you can't even really see its eyes. It's like the eyes were the same material as the rest of it. It was like it was just made of solidified moving like sand or something. It's really weird. And it comes up to me and it's like walking closer and closer to me, and I can't move. My hand is just out like this, and I'm just looking at this thing, and it comes up to me and grabs my hand, and I'm like, God, no, don't do this, man. And it like puts its teeth on my hand and just starts biting like crazy. And when something like this happens to me, all I can do is just like moan or like make some kind of noise and hope someone wakes me up. And luckily that's what happened. But yeah, I felt the little like gummy bite of this thing on my hand. It was not a solid, it didn't seem like solid, but it was painful. It was a pressure, like a kid, like a baby biting you. You know how a baby bites you, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been bitten by a baby hundreds of times. But like that, imagine that, but a baby's biting you so hard that it worries you, where you're like, if I don't stop this, I'm going to be injured. Like seriously, it's not cute anymore. This is like a giant baby made of stone or something, and it's biting the crap out of my hand. And yeah, I wake up and of course the thing is gone, but I felt the pain on my hand. It's crazy.
You ever wake up with actual marks on your body?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I have not.
What would you think if that happened, man? Like if you were having like this happened to you, and like say the baby's biting on you, wake up and you actually see the markings on your body, kind of takes it into a whole nother realm for you.
Yeah. And you know what? I remember wanting to look at my hand. I don't know if it was too dark for me to see or if I just chose not to look at it. But I was like, man, I really felt like there would be a mark on my hand, but I doubt that there was. I have no reason to believe that there would have been, but I felt like, man, that was a really hard bite, whatever that was. And I was like, I almost didn't want to know if there was going to be a mark on my hand. But like I said, I have no reason to believe that such a thing would be the case. Yeah, there was nothing I could do. It's Dark Waters saying, stab it, shoot it, kill it. Yeah, I couldn't do anything. I was totally helpless. Dezombified. What's up, my friend?
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, like I don't have those kind of stories happen to me. I mean, especially recently, like I've been doing the show for 2.5 years and it's been relatively quiet. I mean, I think the other night my wife said that she saw a red light in her room that wasn't supposed to be there apparently, but she's still not sure if she actually saw it or not. So I don't know. But I mean, I don't have that stuff happen to me. I'll tell you what. Early on in my son's life, he was just born, and I drive tractor trailer during the day, and so I gotta sleep. I can't be operating off of too little of sleep, at least a few hours, and he was sleeping awful. So what I was doing was I was sleeping on the couch a lot so that I could actually get some sleep. And the very first night I slept on the couch, I fell asleep and I had this very vivid dream of somebody coming up my basement stairs. And I'm always very cautious person when it comes to my house. Like people who know me know that every night, like I'm walking in the house and making sure windows are locked, doors are locked, double checking. And I have this dream that I hear somebody like stomping up the stairs. Like they weren't trying to be quiet. Like they were just stomping up the stairs. And in my dream, I'm laying on the couch, getting ready to go to sleep, or I am sleeping just like I am. Like it was like a dream of what was actually happening to me in that moment in real life. And all of a sudden this what I thought was a person gets to the top of the stairs. They kick the door in, and the door flies open, and this like static image of a person, but a very large, almost like the static you used to see on TVs when you were a kid, the old static, walks around the corner, and I jump up, and like physically, like for real, in real life, jump up, and I'm out of breath, and I'm like ready to fight because I was like, I didn't know what was going on. But it took me a few seconds to realize it was a dream. But that was very, very vivid and very, very real. Most of the time, I don't remember dreams. I sleep like a rock. But that freaked me out. And what's really weird about that is, not really weird, but I guess I do have some things going on. When I first started sleeping on the couch, I would hear this tapping noise on the wall behind the couch. And it was weird because it was almost like rhythmic. And it wasn't all the time, like every time I sat down or laid down, I could hear it. But it was almost a guaranteed thing that at some point that day, being on the couch, I was going to hear it. And I would hear this tap, 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 tap. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm listening. I'm putting my ear against the wall, and I can barely hear it when I put my ear against the wall. It was almost like I could hear it louder when I was just laying on the couch. And so I would go down in the basement, and the way my house is set up is the couch was against the wall, and then on the other side of the wall was actually the garage. And then there's another wall that goes down in the basement. And so I'm like in the garage, I'm in the living room, I'm going down in the basement, I'm putting my ear against the wall, and I can hear this. And I had Lindsay listen, and she could hear it very faintly. And that was right around the time I had that static dream. But to be honest with you, at some point it stopped, and I don't remember when, but it just stopped. And but it was going on a lot. Like it was very consistent, and I still don't know what it was. I don't know if it was paranormal or not, but it was a little freaky just because it was like a guaranteed thing. It was very rhythmic, and I don't know, but yeah, I think it stopped now. Now I'm gonna go downstairs after this show, and I'm gonna hear tapping. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, the tapping's gonna be like, hey, you talking about me, man? That's how we do now.
Yeah, I guess when I was doing an interview early on in the show, I think it was probably episode 7 or something like that. The show's called the Tree. I think it was called the Tree Sprite or something like that. And I was talking to this girl Casey, and she was telling me this very haunting experience she had her entire life. It just this entity just follows her wherever she goes and torments her and the people she's living with. And at the one point of the interview, she's like, whenever I talk about it, it doesn't like it, and it gets angry. And just as she said that, now when I first started the show, I had not a beard, a mane. Like my beard came down like halfway down my chest, and it was a big beard. And I had such a big beard, and it was I kept it well groomed and everything. I had a little bit of notoriety for my beard in the beard world, and I had different beard companies that do.
Jealous.
I had different companies that do beard products, like anything for your beard, sending me free product for me to do a review on, and I had a stacks of boxes against the wall in here, and they were sitting there for months because I just didn't have time with the show, and I'm sitting here and I'm talking to her, and she says that. She's like, it gets angry when I talk about it. And just as she said that, this stack of boxes just comes falling down. And my mic's muted. So like when I'm not talking my show, I mute my mic out so there's no background noise that comes through for things like that. And I look over, and she's still talking. She doesn't even hear because my mic is muted. I look over, I look at the floor, and I'm like, well, that's interesting, And I was just like, I just try to ignore it, and I picked the boxes up after the interview and just carried on. But other than that, really nothing is, because people ask me, has anything really happened during your show, like when you're interviewing and stuff? I mean, I've had EVPs come through, but while we're recording, but nothing too crazy. I don't even know if there was a question with that. I just started talking.
No, it's interesting because, for somebody who has so much exposure to the world of people that do claim to have these types of experiences,
Yeah.
Myself included, it's interesting. It must be an interesting experience to kind of have a look into that from the outside. In a way, you're sort of
Yeah.
on the outside as far as
Oh, for
personal
sure.
experience goes.
I mean, I've had personal experiences, nothing like most of the people on my show, and nothing consistently throughout my life. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember being spooked out by different things, like seeing shadows and stuff. Like not shadows like shadows as in like a figure standing there right next to me kind of thing, but like shadow, like I see a shadow on the wall or on the ceiling, and it's in the shape of a human. And it's moving, and I just don't know what it is. But I'm a kid, and I'm like, I just must be seeing things, and I just let it go. But when I was in college, and I was dating my wife, I met her when I was 18, and she went to school about an hour from me, and I was in love with this girl, and every day I drove up an hour to see her because I just was in love, and um, it was a Sunday night, and we were at her mom's house, her house, and nobody was home, and we were watching some ghost shows on TV, and that's when I knew I was going to marry her. But
yeah, it's pretty legit.
yeah, I was like, yeah, this girl's cool. This girl's cool. But after the shows were over, it was late. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night, and we had to get going to go back to school. But I was like, we should go downstairs and look through some old family photo albums and see if we see any, ghosts in the pictures. And so we went down, we started looking through different pictures and stuff. And while we're sitting there, I just didn't have a good feeling. Like I was just like how like all of a sudden you just feel like I'm not alone, like it's just, well, I started feeling like that, but I'm trying to be tough and all that. So I'm just ignoring it. And I'm sitting on a couch and she's sitting on the floor going through the pictures. I'm just kind of like backed up a little bit now, just looking at them, feeling a little weird. And at some point it got so strong. I said to her, I kind of feel weird. Like, I don't feel comfortable right now. She's like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, cool. I'm not crazy. And she's like, do you want to go? And I said, yeah, let's go. And so we pack up her stuff and we get in the car and we drive away. And when we're driving away from the house, I just felt like there was something still there. Like we're in the car and we're trying to be, chill and stuff. I personally felt like there was something in the car with me. And I got to her school and dropped her off, and I always joke around. I kind of, and it's kind of true actually. I kind of wish that I was hoping that whatever is with us would just stay with her at her college, because I was just like, I ain't trying to have this in my life. Like this is not me. And so I give her a kiss goodnight, and I get back in my car and I start my hour drive back to school, and I feel it. It's in the car still, and
does she know that that you were thinking?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she knows everything.
I'm sure she can handle it. She'll figure it out.
Yeah, she was. She's a smart girl. I'm the crazy guy, so I just wasn't ready for it. I'm like, you know what? There's no ring on her finger yet, so for themselves. But that's another sidetrack. I always told guys, I was like, if there's not a ring on her finger, she's not worth going to jail for, guys. So calm down. So,
yeah, you see her next time she's freaking possessed or something, you just keep driving.
Like, deuces. It was fun while it lasted. But yeah, so I'm driving down to the school and I feel this, and I was scared. Like I was really scared, because it was probably the most real feeling I've ever had on the paranormal side up to that point in my life. And I pull into the school parking lot, and it's late at night. It's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I go inside, and everybody's sleeping pretty much. Believe it or not, at my school, everybody was sleeping. It was a small Christian school, so it's like guys were just all about reading the book. But there's this one guy up, and I said to him, can I talk to you, man? And it turns out I knew this guy had a background with paranormal type things. He used to be a Wiccan, and so he would do certain things, and I felt like, okay, maybe I can talk to him about this. And And so I pulled him aside and we started talking, and we're in the laundry room because, you know, his roommate's sleeping, my roommate's sleeping, and I didn't want to be in a hallway. So we're in the laundry room, and I'm telling him what happened that night and how I was feeling. And he's just listening. And I remember I was leaning my left elbow on the washer. And so my left is the washer and dryers, and to my right are these windows spanning the laundry room. And I remember I was talking to him and just casually looked to my right out the window, and I see these two eyes looking back at me. And I don't remember exactly the time of year, but I remember at that moment when I was telling people, like I told my wife this, what happened and stuff. I remember I know it wasn't like fireflies because of the time of the year. I think it was probably wintertime or something like that. But I see these two eyes just staring at me, and they weren't like your eyes and my eyes. And I don't have a great vision as to what exactly the color was. It was either red or orange or a mix between the two. But I look at this thing and it freaks me out. And when I say they weren't like ours, I mean, they weren't close together like ours, like a human, like somebody had weird contacts in and just looking at us. They were further apart. It was if you were going to draw a head around those eyes, it was going to be a very big head. And I freaked out. I hid my face in my arm on top of the washer. And the guy's like, what? I'm like, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell him. I was like, dude, there were freaking two eyes staring at me, man. And he was just like, really? And he's looking out the window, he's looking at stuff, and he's just like, are you okay? And he's just like patting me on the back. He's like, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. And I'm just like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be okay, bro. And so I actually wound up sleeping on his floor in his room that night because I just didn't want to go back into my room alone while my roommate was already asleep. And it freaked me out. And then that kind of spanned a little bit of time where I had experiences with some paranormal stuff in my dorm. I think the craziest thing that happened was I'm laying in my bed and I got that feeling again. It was like it was almost like I knew something was going to happen. And I'm laying in my bed, and my bed's against the wall, and at the foot of my bed is the only window that's in my bedroom, and the window went from the floor to the ceiling.
That's the worst freaking place for a window to be.
I know.
Oh
I know.
My gosh.
And so the window goes from floor to ceiling, and I'm laying in bed at night, dark room, and we had a parking lot outside the window with the street light, so the street light would, you know, kind of glow through the window. My roommate's sleeping, and I had this feeling. I'm like, I'm not alone. And I look at the bottom of my bed, like I'm just like looking at my feet kind of thing. You know, I don't know what to do. I'm just looking, and all of a sudden, it was like somebody that I couldn't see, but it looked like somebody grabbed one of the strings on the blinds that went from the floor to ceiling and just like pinched one of the blinds and just pulled it out from the window. And it went out probably like this far, and then it just slapped against the window. And I just pulled my covers up, I think. Like, I know I didn't run out of the room, but it scared the heck out of me. And that prompted me to go to a professor and talk to him about some stuff because, you know, I went to a Christian college. And so I was like, well, maybe there's some kind of spiritual warfare going on here. I don't know. I didn't look into the paranormal like I do now. I don't think everything's demons, as this person now, but back then I probably did. And I went to him, and I don't know what caused me to go to him specifically. There's tons of professors, and he wasn't even my professor at the time. I never had a class of his, but I made an appointment to sit down with him, and we talked, and I told him what was going on. And before he kind of shared anything like advice with me or anything like that, he spent time telling me his experiences and how anything from like miraculous things, like when he was a kid, they had family of friends over, and he's in the kitchen, he's standing on a chair to reach up into like a drawer or something like that to grab like cookie out of the cookie jar or something like that. And he winds up, it wouldn't have been the drawer, it was like the drawer of the whatever, but he winds up falling and breaks his arm in half. Like it literally was like inverted. And he said that his parents were like, we gotta go to the hospital. And the person that was there is like, let's just pray for him first. And so they prayed for him, and like his arm like literally grew back the right way right there, which is kind of crazy. But then he also like shared experiences of he was laying in bed with his wife, and he heard footsteps come into the bedroom, She's sleeping. He sees nothing, but he hears these footsteps, and they walk up along the bed next to his wife, and then walk down around the bed to him. And then all of a sudden, he feels like these two giant hands just push down on his chest and like pushing the air out of him. And he said he felt like he was going to die. And after a while, it subsided. And then he also shared an experience where he was dealing with a Ouija board, and I guess somebody that he knew was playing with a Ouija board, and they were getting deep into it, I guess, and they were being tormented, and like to the point where like knives were coming underneath the door, kind of thing, when they were in the room or something like that. Me thinking about it, I'm like, well, why? Just stop playing with the freaking Ouija board if that's happening. It's like, it's just stop, It's like,
how hard is it to not play with a Ouija board?
Yeah, it's just like, it's like somebody who keeps hitting themselves in the head. It's like, would you just stop? Like, what? This isn't hard. But anyways, so he goes over to the house. He schedules a time to go to the house when I guess, I don't know if they were doing it at that time or what, but he goes into this room where all this stuff was happening. And he said that a demonic entity appeared right before him, and he spoke with it, and it told him initially, it said, either I will or I can kill you. And I think it said, I can kill you. And he's like, you can kill my body, but my spirit belongs to the Lord. And I think it left after that. It's been such a long time that I heard that story. But anyways, circle back around. I didn't expect one of the professors at the school to ever like have those kind of experiences and relate them to me, and it made me feel more comfortable. And he kind of was a go-to guy for me to go, talk to about this stuff early on. And I think now that I'm talking about it, because I don't know if I've ever told these stories on my show.
It sounds like you got a little bit more than, you're not a completely uninitiated person.
I guess not. It's just not, it's not like happening in my, like I talk to people, it's like, this is all the time, and I'm just like, nah, not for me. It's just not. You got
to dig it up.
Yeah, I guess so. And the story I share with you with seeing the eyes out the window and stuff, that's a story that I always forget about. It's so weird. Like people will say to me, tell me your craziest paranormal story. And it never the first thing that comes to my mind. And earlier this week, I was driving around and just like hit me because to this day, it's not that it's severe, but for the longest time, when the sun went down, blinds on windows had to be down. I am not like I did not look out a window that had the blinds up when it was dark out, and it scared me that bad. Like in my house, my parents' house, her house, whatever. Like I couldn't do it. And over time, that's gotten less. But just like a few months ago, it kind of hit me. It's like it still affects me because I had these really big windows down in my family room. It's like not really big windows, but it's like normal sized windows, but it's three next to each other, making one big window. And I have 3 sets of blinds, and my wife puts them up during the day, and then she takes the kid to bed, and I close up, and I put the blinds down at night. And every time I do that, it's like I can't do it fast enough. And it's like one of those things where I actually forget why I get so scared of windows. And I'm not like that scared anymore, but it's still like those things where it's just creepy for me to do.
Left a little mark on you a little bit.
Yeah. And it's, I just don't understand why. I don't know if my mind tries blocking it out, but I'll go a long period of time forgetting that even happened to me. And it wasn't like I was a kid. I was like 18, 19 years old. And I will go a long time forgetting about that, where I'm like doing shows like this and they'll be like, tell me your most paranormal experience. And I don't even think about that. And it's just like, and every once in a while it just pops in my head. And now tonight when I go downstairs to close everything up.
Sorry, my bad.
But yeah, so welcome to my life.
Yeah, dang. Let me see here. The Dot, Unexplainable. Who else we got here? A couple people have popped in. Kara Ogburn. Hello there, my friends. We are just about to start wrapping up the live show tonight. Had some really interesting discussions. Disregard that whole Area 51 thing. If anybody's listening who has the power to mess with me in any way, I'm talking about the government. Don't worry about all that.
Oh.
I've got a lot of explaining to do to you guys. I've been very distant, and I'm sorry for that. I feel like I owe you guys a little bit more interaction recently. I know you guys are very forgiving and kind, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit more, and I'm going to be doing that pretty soon. So don't worry too much. We've been hanging out with my friend Tony of the Confessionals Podcast. Tony, real quick, let's talk about the stuff that you got coming down the pipeline. And I know you got the website that just opened up. It looks good. I'm on it a little bit, and it's pretty cool. Somebody's asking, when is my podcast going to air? I've got just like Tony said I should. I've got 10 episodes right now, pretty much ready to go. But I've been having trouble finding time to create more so I can get a big backlog and stuff like that. So I was going to release it the beginning of July, but it's probably going to be at least August that I start doing that. And that's a subject I'm going to have to talk about in more depth on another night. But let's talk about your stuff real quick, Tony.
Yeah. So, what was the question?
What do you got? What do you got going on? I know this.
Oh.
You got your memberships and stuff like that, extra shows and all this different stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff going down on your end, man.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot, man. And I just came up with a new idea for a whole new show, not an episode, but an actual podcast show that when I get the extra time, which right now I don't have any, I'm going to start pursuing, which is pretty much taking my format and talking to ex-cons and having them come on and share, how'd they land in prison, what did they experience in prison, what's their life like now outside of prison, just getting a story, hopefully a reform story, I'm not looking to, talk to guys who just go right back into the life, but guys who actually reform their life and, things like that. I think those guys are fascinating. I enjoy talking to them. I've always, it's going to sound bad, but I always enjoy talking to people like that just because it's inspirational for me. My grandfather used to go to prisons for over 30 years every Tuesday night and did Bible studies with, prisoners and stuff like that. So it's just been something that I've always enjoyed doing. I've done it myself when I was younger. But anyways, what I'm doing right now is my show, the Confessionals Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel, but we don't really upload the shows a whole lot to it. That's changing soon. I might be trying to do that. It's just, a lot of work, uploading audio and stuff like that to video format to put on YouTube.
It's kind of a waste. A lot of wasted space.
Yeah, it takes a lot of space. But yeah, on our website, theconfessionalspodcast.com is really where the hub is, where you can get all things confessionals, the confessionals. And we just launched memberships this past Sunday on the website where members will get an extra show every Thursday. I put out a public show every Tuesday, and members will get an extra show on Thursdays, and they get access to forums, chat rooms, instant messenger, private messenger. They get to listen to a backlog of some live some live shows I was able to do with my Patreon stuff back in the day. I wasn't able to salvage all the audio from the old stuff, but and we'll be doing a live show once a month, once every other month, with a live call-in number for people to call in.
That's dope.
Yeah, they'll be able to ask me questions, the guest questions, and the live shows are going to be paranormal, cryptid related, time travel, anything really. I mean, maybe we won't even do anything crazy off the wall. Maybe it's just going to be me coming on and be like, let's talk about life, guys. And, yeah, so that's what, the membership's all about and stuff, just interaction with the people who really, love the show and support it. And they get extra content, at least one extra episode a week. And sometimes I'll probably put out more. But yeah, it's a lot of work, man. You know how it is, putting out content and everything. It's very time consuming, but it's fun at the same time. And I enjoy talking to people. That's one of the things for me growing up. I was pretty much trained to be a talker. I didn't watch TV as a kid growing up. I would come home from school. We'd sit at the table, eat dinner, and talk until it was time for bed. And that's what we did.
Mm.
Same people every day having different conversations. So I learned how to talk a lot, you know.
You're pretty good at it.
Well,
that's a good skill to have. I mean, a lot of people can't carry a conversation, you know, because they need
nowadays,
a distraction, you know, with it after a couple of seconds of talking, they got to switch their attention to something else, you know,
yeah,
maybe something with a screen or something that with buttons that beeps or something, you know.
yeah.
It's kind of sad, but you know, hopefully we can teach the next generation to be more like that, you know.
Yeah, I think the next generation, every generation has their own challenges,
Mm,
and technology is presenting a very new challenge for the next generation that we've never experienced throughout all of humanity. And uh, there's no escaping technology these days. It's coming whether you like it or not to another level. Like I'm talking about AI, the next stages for humanity, um,
mm.
things like that. You know,
Yeah, that's a whole other show right there.
yeah, I know, but I think the next generation, they're not going to be able to avoid technology, but their challenge is going to be, can I still be human? Can I still be humanized? Am I going to lose my humanity? I guess that's the way I should say it. I think the next generation is going to be faced with the challenge of holding on to and keeping their humanity
Hmm.
because of technology.
Yeah, that sounds like a topic for the well. It's interesting. Well, real quick, the show that you're brewing up with talking to ex-cons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is a really fascinating idea because I mean, there's so much that I could imagine them having to say, especially those who have intentionally reformed themselves. Like for example, in my line of work with some of my dreamers are somewhat vaguely familiar with. I came across a guy, and after talking to him for a minute, I found out that he was literally like a few days before just released from like a 21 year 27-year sentence that it was messed up because I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but he was literally standing next to someone who did something wrong, drug related, and he ended up in jail with that person
Yeah.
for 27 years. And he was like, the guy, he was like 16 at the time. And 27 years, that was more than the amount of time he'd been alive before that, by far.
Jeez.
So it was 27 plus 16. He's in his 40s now, and he looked weathered. He looked old, and but he had this smile on his face though, and he was so happy to just be out and be free finally. And he was coming in um to just I guess hand in the last bit of paperwork to his parole officer or something like that. And he was so elated, and you know, he looking at me, it was like he looked at me doing what I was doing, you know, in my profession, and he was like proud of me somehow. Like he was like, "Hey, you look like one of the good guys. I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad to see you working." And you know, it just had this I just had this feeling that he's been so mistreated and taken advantage of and abused over all these years. So much time was stolen from him, but he still was able to look at someone like me and show me some kind of appreciation. I don't know. It probably sounds weird because to people who don't know what I do for a living, because I can't really talk about it overtly, but you know, the fact that some people can go through so much, go through so much of that, be imprisoned for almost twice your lifetime that you were out of prison, and still come out with a smile on your face and looking forward to the future. It's impressive to me to no end.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You know,
that's definitely an interesting group of people. I mean, because I could tell the guy he was like, hey, obviously, the days of me mixing with anybody that's going to get me in trouble, that's long gone. You know, he was turning over a completely new leaf. But I mean, it was taken from him to begin with. It was not even really, didn't seem to be his fault of what had happened. And back then, you know, in the 80s or whatever, you know, probably late 80s, early 90s, if you know, a kid like him, where he's from, gets in trouble in it for any reason, nobody's going to bat an eye if you say, yeah, hey kid, you got 30 years. You're 15 years old, you're getting 30 years. Nobody bats an eye at that back in the day. You know, nobody even noticed. And now he's out. And yeah, I'm on a tangent. I'm just going on and on, but that guy really left an impression on me.
you know, it's people's life stories have impactful things in it, and I don't care who you are. Everybody has a unique life story, and when you have the opportunity to listen to somebody's life story, there's inspiration in a lot of people's lives. And hearing that, I mean, what you just said is just a fraction of this guy's story, and I'm already inspired by it. You know, the fact that he didn't lose hope in humanity when, you know, all he has known his entire life essentially is being in a cage is remarkable to me. I was down, you know, in town here, and I was getting gas, and I went inside to get coffee or something like that. And there was a guy outside, and he's, you know, walking up to people aggressively asking for money. And I had to pass him, and he comes over to me, and he's like, "Hey man, you got some money and stuff?" And gets like, he's aggressive, and I'm like, "No, I don't have any cash on me," and I didn't. And so I went inside, got my coffee, and I came back out, and he's still asking people around stuff. I walked to my truck, and I'm looking at him like, you know, let me go talk to this guy and see what's up. And so I went over to him. I said, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he's like, "Man, I'm starving." And I'm like, "Well, you know, you're scaring people out here. That's why you're not getting any money, man. Like the way you're coming at people and stuff, you're scaring them. They don't know what to expect. You're a big dude. Like I'm 6 feet tall, and he was probably like 6'5", and he's a big guy. And he had, you know, I always call it get out of jail muscles. Like you can tell a guy's been in prison because of the way he's built." And
yeah,
I'm like,
had
dude,
nothing else to do.
yeah. And I said, "Dude, you're scaring people, man. Like that's why nobody's giving you money." And I said, "You're hungry? Let's go. I'll get you some food." And then we went inside. We got him a sandwich and stuff. And we go out, you know, out in the parking lot again. I stand there and I started talking with him. And I said, "So, you know, dude, what's up, man? Like, why are you asking for people for money and stuff? I mean, are you homeless? What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty much homeless." He's like, every once in a while he finds somewhere to crash, but he doesn't have anywhere to go. He can't get a job. And he's like, why can't you get a job?" And he's like, "I just got out of jail." And I was like, "What'd you go to jail for?" And he's like, "I killed my friend." And I was like, "All right," you know. And so like I started talking to him about like, you know, what the next step is here in life, you know. And I didn't have a great solution for him because he's fighting an uphill battle. I mean, from what I gathered from him, he didn't feel like he was given any preparation when he was locked up for a future outside of jail. And so, you know, he's now recently released from jail, no family. I don't think they wanted to talk to him. And he was just kind of left to fend for himself. And, you know, I told him, I said, "Dude, like your situation right now, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. And if you're not smart about it, you could wind up being back in jail again because you don't know what else to do." That's just a fact of the matter. And so, you know, I spent some time talking with him and stuff, but, you know, it's like he had a lot of humanity in him. He was human, you know, and when you spend some time talking to people and you get to know them a little bit, complete strangers, you find out that not everybody is as bad as you'd want, or people would want you to think they are. You know, like he was stupid. He did what he did a long time ago. And, you know, he paid his price and he got out. And now he's facing an uphill battle because can't get a job. He doesn't have a home. He can't even put down an address of where he lives, you know, on an application. And I felt for him, you know, and I did the best I could to try to encourage him, but there's, you know, I'm limited to what I could, you know, share with him. But yeah, man, life's interesting. And I think that, you know, doing a podcast like that would be fun, to talk with people and all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It got really real in here, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
hey,
happy to get on it.
oh yeah, yeah. We'll talk for a couple more minutes after this. But my friends, thank you all for hanging out tonight. Everybody who's around. Code word. Let's see. We need a code word. Let's see. Is that thing behind you? Is that like a clown or something? Like a baby clown?
No, it's an
Or
artistic.
what is it?
It's an artistic portrayal of a white Bigfoot.
Okay, it looks like a baby clown from here. Yeah, because it's it's all blurry in the background and everything. So let's say baby clown is the code word. Ah, I see. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. You see, I'm gonna wait for him to put his headphones back on. You see what I mean, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't it kind of look like a little baby clown?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is terrifying. It's actually less terrifying when you brought it up. It's more terrifying when it looks like a baby clown far away.
I'll tell you what, my 1.5-year-old, whenever he comes in here, a couple of things he does is he sees my logo on the computer and he's like, Dad, 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 Dad. And he points at, and he slams his finger in my chest, and then he walks over to the wall and he starts pointing at all the Bigfoot, and he's like, Bigfoot, Bigfoot. But he doesn't say it like that, but he's trying to say Bigfoot, and it's just funny.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we'll do Bigfoot for the code words in honor of one of the staples of the Confessionals podcast, mythology, the mythos surrounding that show. We'll do Bigfoot. So if you're listening at this point in the show, or you make it all the way to the end, Bigfoot, write that into your comment, work it in, be clever about it, and we will be able to know who's really listening. All right, my friends, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your comments, your interaction, the love, support, as always. And we're going to sign off. Don't go anywhere, though, Tony. You want to say goodnight?
Thanks, everybody, for listening and hanging out with us. Like I said, you can check out my show, and if you like it, shoot me an email and let me know that you enjoy the show and you were sent by Mr. X Dreams.
All right. You all have a good night. As always, I'm Mr. X, and may your nights be full of dreams. Good night, my friends.